Hello, welcome back to another Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. Coming at you live right here on Facebook. How is everybody doing tonight? Glad you are here with us on this late night edition. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jeff Woolwine. I'm a resident here in Phoenix, Arizona, born and raised. Been seeing these UFOs and Phoenix Lights ever since I was a kid. I'm not an outsider coming in and trying to tell people what they're seeing. I've actually encountered these things ever since I was a kid. That's what brought me here today, talking to you live on what these UFOs really are. How is everyone doing today? Glad you are with us. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about how some of the similarities on how we can tell on if photographs of UFOs have been faked or not. We're going to go into some pretty good detail on that. And we're going to show you some cool UFO videos. One coming out of Mexico, the latest one out of Mexico. And that was really cool. And yeah, man, so let's get started. What do we got going on here? Okay. The Wild West Paracon out there in Tombstone, Arizona. May 5th through the 7th. You guys want to come on down? This is going to be the biggest Paracon of all time. Bigger than Vulture City. There's going to be 14 different places for you guys to actually come out and do ghost hunts. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a ghost hunt. And in this haunted house, I can't tell you the location. I can't tell you the details on this, except for one. The lady who lives there now currently has poltergeist activity going on in the kitchen. And we are going to be doing a seance right there in Tombstone. First time ever, the Paracon in Tombstone, Arizona. Can't believe it, boy, but we're finally doing it. And yeah, I'm going to be there doing a ghost hunt. And also I'm going to be being a guest speaker there, talking about the Phoenix Lights, talking about UFOs. And yeah, get your tickets quick, man, because these are going to sell out fast. So we're still in the planning of this, and check out the Wild West Paracon Facebook page for more updates and where to get tickets and when tickets go on sale and more details. But yeah, there's going to be tons of vendors out there. There's going to be tons of great speakers going to be there. And, the drummer of Poison is going to be there too. So come on down, say hi. Let's do a ghost hunt. Let's do a seance. Let's talk about UFOs, Phoenix Lights. I can't wait. This is going to be the biggest event in history. I'm telling you, you can't get better than this. Wild West Paracon, May 5th through the 7th out there in Tombstone, Arizona. It's going to be great. I can't wait for this to happen. Awesome, awesome time. Get your tickets early. Haunted Encounter Adventures. I do another YouTube page, also on Facebook. Haunted Encounter Adventures. Check us out there. We go to different haunted locations and do ghost hunts. If you're into the paranormal and things like that, you're going to love this page. Haunted Encounter Adventures. Check us out. Find us on Facebook. Stop by, say hi. Post your ghost stories. I love to see them. And yeah, Haunted Encounter Adventures. The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, book volume 1 and 2, The Covered Up History of Phoenix, Arizona. This is my book. I did a lot of research into the Phoenix Lights. I traced them down. I tracked them down. I went to the main source in Phoenix of South Mountain. Matter of fact, you're going to see some video of South Mountain, and we're going to show you some photographs of what's in this one particular area that I was seeing these UFOs at coming right over this valley. We're going to talk about that tonight. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to go really in depth in this. We're going to talk about the petroglyphs, and we're going to talk about the meanings to the petroglyphs in this sacred valley, in this sacred location. How do I know this is? Well, because I sat by South Mountain for 3 years, on the east side, and I watched these things come and go, and I made the connection to the petroglyphs on South Mountain, not only South Mountain, but the whole mountains around Phoenix, Arizona. They're talking about the same story. They're talking about UFO sightings They didn't have video cameras back then. They had stone boulders to record their sightings on, and that's exactly what these petroglyphs are. They're over 1,200 years old. Cards from the first people who settled here in Phoenix, Arizona, called the Hohokam Indians. And, we might get into that a little bit later on tonight in the show. But, yeah, 15 years of research, folks. Crossing my T's, dotting my I's. This is not hearsay. This is proven facts. Okay, if I'm going to come out and talk about this stuff, I'm going to make sure that I can back it up. And that's exactly what I do here on this show. I wrote an article for UFO Magazine. I went on to do the pilot for the UFO Hunter Show. And then in 2000, that was in 2005. 2007, I went on to do the UFO Hunter Show on the History Channel. I did True TV on the Ultimate Encounters. I've been on Jaime Maussan's talk show many of times. I've done a lot of talk shows throughout the years, throughout these over 20 years investigations now. So yeah, I pretty much know what I'm talking about here. And like I said, I can verify everything that I'm talking about here. So this book can only be found on Kindle, and it's only $3. So I had to break the book up into two parts. And so they're only $3 a piece, $6, and tons of photographs, tons of cool information in there, lots of stuff that you haven't seen in 80 years. It has this cool little story in there that takes the audience on a magical type journey back in time when the Holocons were here, understanding the petroglyphs, understanding what's really here in Phoenix, Arizona. It goes in depth of the true history of Phoenix, not what the archaeologist is telling us, but what the rock art is telling us, okay? What the oral traditions from the Native Americans are telling us. So yeah, this is not just, I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff has always been around with us. I'm just bringing the facts to you that has been covered up in 80 years. So yeah, hey Chris, hey Carol, glad you guys are here. Hey Karen, glad you guys are here. We got a great show for you tonight. So stay tuned. And let's get started. Make sure you pick up your copies, man. The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, the covered up history of Phoenix, Arizona. And that's what I mean. It is a covered up history. I mean, I go into the Mayans. I go into the gold. Okay, I go into the tombs that were here. I talk about the giants that were here. All right, I show photographs of evidence of giants. You be the judge. Pick up the book. Check out the color photographs. And, I just added some new stuff in there. So those of you who have already picked up the book, might want to go back and check it out again because I added some new stuff to that on the very end. You'll notice it if you've seen it before. So, yeah, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Amazon Kindle. And a lot of people are asking me, well, how come it's not a hardcover book or a softcover? Well, because if I did, with all the colored photographs that's in there, it would just skyrocket that book. And it's not about money. It's not about, what these other skywatchers are doing, trying to make money, exploit the Phoenix Lights and trying to get on their soapbox. It's about bringing this information to you. All right. And that's what it's all about. So I'm keeping the price low. All right. So if I made it a hardcover book or a softcover book, I mean, the prices would jump. It would be anywhere from $50 to $100. And I can't do that to you guys. The information is too vital. It's too crucial. And this story needs to get out. So it's only $3 for both books, $6 for both of them. You can't beat that. And please do me a favor. And once you pick it up, put a 5-star rating on there for me. It really helps the book climb up in numbers. Thank you so much. The Phoenix Lights, True Stories. That's a different one. The covered up history of Phoenix, Arizona. Woo! Can you tell it's been a late night already? All right. So, giants. Yeah, giants. I'm telling you, man, the giants are here in Phoenix. And I got plenty of evidence and photographs. Pick it up. Check out the photographs. And I bring all the stuff to you. If you can't get to the mountain, then I bring the mountain to you through my book. And tons of information, lots of great photographs. And okay, where to start? Where should we start on tonight's show? Boy, we've got so much to talk about. Let's look at this. Okay, so I recently came across this photograph here. Okay, and it all looks fine and dandy, right? To the naked eye, right? And we're going to talk about how we can tell if a photograph has been photoshopped and if a photograph is real. We're going to go over this tonight. And first of all, because of all these hoaxers out there, because of people trying to, uh, you know, just put out this garbage, and they make these fake photographs, and people buy this up without even looking at it for us, without even, questioning it. Is this real? How can this be proven? We really need to do that, because there's so many people out there, folks, faking photographs and faking videos. I mean, we have to be careful now, and it's unfortunate that it is like that, because the real UFOs are being overlooked while all this fake stuff is being publicized, and I think this needs to stop. So we first must learn to understand what real UFOs look like, what real photographs are, and understand what photographs are. The the Photoshop. That's what I'm talking about. And so that's why it's crucial. I always say, look, we need to see video. Okay, we have to see video, because being an advanced sky watcher, being I don't know how should I put it, a veteran to this. I've been brought up with these things. I've been seeing these things ever since I was a kid. So I know what to look for. I know it's real. I know, when I see something on camera, when I see a video, I can analyze it properly, and I can tell if it's real or not. And one of the ways that we need to make sure is by video. And you always have to make sure you film it leaving the sky. All right. If you just cut it off, that's kind of suspicious. That's just really suspicious to me. People are filming this light in the sky, but they're not showing how it leaves it. They're not showing how it leaves the sky. In today's world, this is crucial. We need to see how the object leaves the sky. So always make sure that you're always filming these UFOs and showing how they disappear, because that's important. And I know it's really hard in today's day and age, but I always try to bring a video camera with me. And not a cell phone, because cell phones, they just don't give the sighting justice. I mean, sometimes the sighting looks really close in person, but the cell phone captures it, and it looks way far away, and it's hard to analyze, and it's hard to actually see what we're looking at. So it's best to get a good video camera, upload it on your computer, and then post it, and then send it to me. I'd love to see it, right? So now that we got that out of the way, let's look at this photograph here. Now, the first thing that I noticed, if you guys will look closely on this, this is good. This is really cool. This is really neat. Okay. This is really cool. I mean, it looks good, right? Sure, it looks really good. But one thing, let me see if I can show you here. Let me find my. Okay, look at this. Can you see the distortion in this? One thing that makes it really hard to analyze is the distortion. Let's see. You can barely see it here. There's like a little bit of distortion here. Maybe I can make it bigger. Let me see what I can do with this. Let me see if I can get a better view, understanding what I'm talking about here. So you can see like kind of ripples. I don't know if the camera is catching this. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. You see what I'm talking about. These ripples here in the video. Let me bring it back down again. Yeah. So, like right in here. You see that? That's telling me that this is a screenshot. This is not the original photograph. Okay? That's one thing that, I mean, I'm not going to criticize it all. I mean, it's okay and all, but to properly analyze this, we really need the original photo. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, this is not the original photograph. This is a screenshot from another, like, I don't know, somebody else must have saw this on Facebook and they couldn't download it or something, or they just took a screenshot of it. And when it did, you can tell because it's got all this distortion lines in it. Just, it's not crisp and clean. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, now, no, maybe you can see that there. You can see all these ripples. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see those ripples on the screen here. This is what I'm talking about right here. That is screenshot. This is not the original photograph. Okay, so let's look at the trees. Now we know we have some trees back here, right? Let's look at those. Let's analyze this for a minute. Let's take a look. Okay. So the trees, everything looks good. I mean, the ground looks good. The trees look good, right? I mean, because it's like they're kind of blurry. You know, it's not really in focus, right? So that's good. That's good. So we know the photograph is a real photograph, not this one. This one is a screenshot of the probably a photograph. But then let's look at these UFOs here. Let's look at these things here. Now look at that. Now because it's a screenshot, it's really hard to get a real look at it because of the already distortion lines that we see already. But so let me move this back down here. Let's look at this for a minute. Let me slowly bring it back down to size. All right. Okay, let's bring it back down here. Now, let's look at this. Let's enlarge this. Now, can you see what I'm seeing here? Do you see that there? Can you see all this garbage around these objects? Yeah, you can see all this garbage around these objects. You see that? Even with a screenshot, we can still tell that this is photoshopped. Look. Do you see this here? Same way with this one. It doesn't matter what type of filter you put on this. The results are the same. You can't escape it. This is how we can tell that this is photoshopped. See that? Look at the noise in here. I call it garbage or noise of the photograph. And look, even when we get it bigger, look, look at that. You see all that distortion there? This is how we can tell if it's photoshopped. I mean, it looks good, right? To the naked eye. But when you really boil it down, there's a lot of flaws in it. And so this is why we have to be careful. Now, let's go ahead and set this aside for a minute. Let's see. Let's bring it back down. Now, let's look at a real photograph, okay? Something that I filmed in 2000, what was it? 10, I believe it was. Now, and I'm filming it. I got video of this. This is the Easter Sunday one. Those of you who have been following me can see the video. This is the Easter Sunday one. So I'm filming, and a friend of mine is taking photographs. Now, let's analyze the photograph. Okay, look how clean this looks. Okay, look how clean this looks. We don't see any distortion lines. No distortion lines at all. So that's telling us that this is not a screenshot, that this is the actual photograph of this object that we're looking at here. And if you want to know, this is Easter Sunday on my YouTube channel, and if you want to see the full video, and so yeah. And look, there's no lines, there's no distortion. You see that? So this is clean. Look how clean this photograph is, right? Even the contrail, see? The contrail going around. Look, everything is good. This is a clean photograph. Now, let's look at it. Here, let's blow this one up. See how clean that is? There's no distortion. Everything looks good. This is not put in the way these are. Can you see the difference here now? So with this, we have noise, we have garbage around the objects. And this one, we don't. Simple as that. So I would have to say that this photograph here not only is a screenshot, which we've already proven that, is a fake. This one is a fake completely. It looks good, and I wish it was real, but unfortunately, it's not. So when you're looking at these UFO videos, hopefully you'll get an idea on what to look for and not be fooled with some of this garbage that's out there. I mean, I wish it was real. Sure, why not? It's great. It would be a great photograph. But unfortunately, all the evidence says that it's not. And, we can go back to this photograph here. You can see how clean it is. Everything looks good. It's not a screenshot. Everything looks perfect. So this is, how we can tell. So, yeah. Okay, let's look at something else now. What is this over here? Oh, yeah, look at this. Before I forget. Now, these are Phoenix lights that I filmed in 2010, right where the 1997 Phoenix lights happened at. I filmed these in 2010. And even still, look at it. Look at it. See, there is no distortion. We've got garbage. We've got garbage in the photograph here. But that's to be expected. This is how we know that it's a real photograph. Because if we didn't have the noise in the photograph, if we didn't have all this garbage in the photograph, and well, let me reframe that. If we have the garbage, but these things are clean and crisp and clear, there's a problem there. Okay? If the lights were as perfect with no garbage, with no distortion around the lights or at all, if it didn't match, yeah, that would be fishy. That would be Photoshop. Somebody put these lights in. But the noise of the photograph consists with the lights in the photograph. This is one of my favorite photographs of the Phoenix lights. This happened on the west side of Phoenix in 2010. And it keeps occurring there. You guys got to keep going out there. Don't give up. Keep going out there. The west side of South Mountain. That's where this is filmed at. South Mountain is here. The Estrella Mountains is over here. Right? And these lights are right there. And it looks like they're over these houses, but they're not. They're actually further back than that. But yeah, this is a great, great photograph. And it's one of my favorite ones. And so yeah, I've got video of this too, so check it out. Oh yeah, so let's look at the houses just real quick to use an example before we close it out. See, look, everything looks good in this whole photograph. The noise, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the noise. Even the street lights. See the street lights? It all matches. It all looks good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. So let me look at this real quick. Check this out. This happened in Mexico by my friend Gabriel. And he filmed this January 7th at 5:28. Now, this is crucial. This time is crucial, okay? So when I was out there on South Mountain and I'm filming these things, it was a pattern, right? And the hot spots on the east side is between like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 5:30 is like the best up until around 6:30. Why? I don't know. I think it's probably the position of the sun over the fault lines. You can check out my other shows when I talk about the fault lines and everything, and the ley lines and the sun aligning with these fault lines on South Mountain that actually draws these beings to this mountain for thousands of years. This is nothing new. This has been going on for over thousands of years, right? That's why these lights and these things in the sky visit South Mountain so much, is because of the energy that it generates. There's a power plant on the east side of South Mountain on Ray Road, right? And that power plant's bored down into the fault line, right? Generating that energy, right? And that's where these Phoenix lights are picking up that energy from, right? I was there in 2004. I watched these lights over that power plant. So when I went there during the day, or when I went there in 2005 to get some day shots, I noticed that it was a pattern. And these times seem to be the good times during the equinox and during the solstice, and you can check out more of that information in my book. Let's get this video started. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't able to film all of it, but because I've seen these things in the sky before, I know what to look for. I can tell you that this is good. This is real. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for like these of course, lights and orbs and stuff like that. But there's other creatures out there that look like snakes and serpents. I'm going to show you a video of this here pretty coming up. And so, yeah, this is what we're looking for. And this is why so many people have been blowing this kind of stuff up, because they have been brainwashed into looking for spaceships, right? They're brainwashed into looking for those photographs that we just analyzed. Okay, and they don't understand, because of all this garbage that's out there, the real stuff is being ignored, and that's a shame, and that's scary too, because now it's going to get people confused. What's real, what's not, all right? And that's why I'm here to help you understand, because I've seen them personally. All right, I videotaped them. Okay, a lot longer than probably anybody else has in Phoenix. And I know what to look for. I've seen them up close. I know what they do. I've matched them to the rock art on the mountains around Phoenix, not only around Phoenix, but around the world. It's the same type of stuff that's going on around the world, that's going on here in Phoenix, going around in your neck of the woods also. It's the same stuff, right? And until we can prove some of these other photographs and these other videos out there that are showing like aliens and crafts and stuff like that, until we can prove that, that's just hearsay. Okay, what we can prove is what we see for our own eyes and what's carved on the rocks. Here I go on the three pyramids, the three things here. I call it a pyramid. Here's the credibility. Here's where credibility lies. 1, we see it in the skies for our own self. 2, we match it to the rock art on these sacred mountains. 3, we read about this stuff in some of these old scrolls from 3,000 to 6,000 years ago that are talking about these things. Are they saying spaceships? Are they saying crafts? No. Man has put that in there because they understand technology, right? That's what we understand. We understand nuts and bolts. We understand technology. We understand spaceships because we've built some. We built the Enterprise. We built the shuttle Columbia. So we built spaceships. We understand technology. This is something different. This is why the government will never disclose. They will never come out and tell you what's really here, because this is something different. All right, and those of you who've been watching my past shows knows what it's all about. Okay, I'm not going to get into it tonight. You can check out my book, check out my past shows. But this is the reason why the government isn't going to tell you this. I don't care what anybody says. All right, they are never going to come out and say, "Hey guys, guess what? There's flying snakes coming and going from South Mountain, and the Phoenix Lights, well, guess what? They were the cause to the disappearance of the Hohokam Indians. These lights took these people away. And check it out. You're living in the same valley, and you're seeing the lights now. So what is that saying about your future now? Right? Are they going to really come out and say that? No, what they're doing is they're sending, yes, black helicopters are real. See my videos. I've documented it. Watch these airplanes. Follow these things around. Shoo these things away from the area, right? Because in 2004, I'm filming these lights over the power plant, right? And these little white airplanes come in and they try to chase them away. And most of the time they do. Most of the time these airplanes chase these things away from the area. But a lot of times the lights are like, man, screw that. I'm not going nowhere. And so the airplanes come in. The lights are like, no, what are you doing? And they're just there. So the airplanes give up and go away. All right. And then in 2005, when I moved to the mountain, all right, I'm not only seeing airplanes, I'm seeing helicopters now, right? And they're there. Look at my book. I documented it all. I filmed them. Right? I took still shots of these black helicopters. And it's interesting, too, because I feel, just watching what was going on out there for so many years, I mean, I feel that they kind of knew what was going to happen before it happened. All right? And I think that in these doorways that I talk about, so I found cells. I watched many, many different doorways on South Mountain where these things are coming and going from. And I think right before a doorway opens up, it creates like this fusion effect, right? And I think with a special type of technology, infrared, I don't know what it is, you can see that. You can see it. You can see the energy start to build up there. I've had white airplanes fly over my apartment, fly right over my head with these little black domes on their belly. You ever seen that before? Look at my book. I photographed this, right? These little white airplanes have these domes on the bottom of them. I believe those domes, just like the domes that you see when you walk into Walmart, these cameras on the ceilings, this is exactly what this airplane had on it. Okay, it's some kind of black dome, like a camera. All right, and it's interesting too because, like, one time this black helicopter went over South Mountain and was hanging around in this area. I was filming this, hanging around in that area for like 10 minutes. That helicopter is just hanging there. Sometimes it just wouldn't move; it would just sit there, right? But as soon as that helicopter left, one would come out of the mountain, or one would come down from the sky into the mountain. Yes, they're going into the mountains, folks. All right. And this is another reason why they're not going to tell you what's going on here, because this is not technology. What we're seeing, these things are alive. I've been saying this ever since I discovered this in 2005. I got a lot of criticism because of this, but I can only say what I'm seeing. I can only say what what the evidence has given me. All right, what I'm seeing here. All right, I thought one thing because everybody else is thinking the same thing, right? So I'm thinking that too. But when I started really investigating this, because nobody else has, when I really studied what was going on, I was blown away, dude. And I went down a completely different road, saying, "Wait a minute. This is not what people are talking about here. This is something else." Matter of fact, when I was doing the UFO Hunter Show in 2007, Pat Uskert, he goes, "Now, Jeff, when you talk about these things, you can't say that these things are alive. You have to say these are spaceships because the public isn't ready for this." I'm like, what? That really pissed me off because as much evidence and as much detail, I have given them, it really upsetted me that I wasn't allowed to say the truth. All right. And this really hurt me in a lot of other cable shows because I didn't agree with what they were talking about. I turned down the UFO Hunter Show again. They approached me after I did Arizona Lights. They approached me again about a year later, and the producer was giving me the script, and I didn't like it. I was not going to mislead the public like that. So I turned down many TV opportunities because of my beliefs, because of what was real. And I am not going to lie to the public on the way Ancient Aliens is doing, the way some of these other UFO documentaries and UFO film crews and cable shows is doing. I don't believe in that, dude. We can't prove that. We're not here for hearsay. We're not here. We want to look at evidence. All right. That's where the credibility is. This is part of the evidence here that I'm showing you right here that Gabriel filmed in Mexico, January 17th at 5:30, and that's a great time too. That is one of the best times to see these things during the day. Great job, Gabriel. If you have any more, please send it to me. And try to have your battery all charged up and ready. I know it's really hard to do. I've done it before. My batteries have been dying on me before too. And so great video. And if anybody else has any great video like this, please send it to me and let's talk about it. Awesome. This is the type of stuff that we want to look for. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Look at this. So this is up here on South Mountain. Okay? This video here. Now, so we're high up on South Mountain. Let me tell you the story on this. So in 2005, I believe it was, I'm up there. I'm checking out the petroglyphs, right? I'm documenting them. I'm exploring them. I'm finding, everything that's up there. And I find this canyon, okay? And it's this huge canyon. From the top of the mountain all the way down to the floor, right? We're high up on here. Look at this. We're high up. We're going to show you the video here. We're high up. And all down through this canyon are spirals. And what are spirals? Spirals represent doorways to the underworld. So this whole canyon has nothing but spirals in it, all the way down, right? And different stories of petroglyphs here and there. And one day, I'm sitting next to this petroglyph across from the canyon. I'm taking a break, and I was like, hey, I haven't seen you guys in a while. Why don't you come and see me? Now, this is one of the secrets here, okay? And it was really a trip. And the first time it happened, it was like maybe it's a coincidence. But the 3 or 4 times it was happening, it blew me away. And it wasn't just a myth, because one of the stories here on this rock art out here, on the petroglyphs, is this rock art has the power to invoke the spirits. Now, this was written in the archaeologist's book, Todd Boswick. And I've heard this from other Native American shamans too, off record, off camera. And so I kind of tested it, right? I tested it. I was like, hey, you guys are cool. Why don't you come and see me? Well, about 3 days later, give or take, this happened. This is 2005. Now this is at the canyon. Where's my arrow? There it is. So this right here is a canyon. All right. This is looking out my window. We're about a mile away from South Mountain. Okay. So this is the canyon right here in this area. There's a huge canyon. It's hard to tell because this is in the morning. This is a quarter to 7 in the morning, and this is the canyon here on the left. Okay, this is high up on the left side. So I'm watching the mountain, and I see this happen. I see this serpent come out of South Mountain. This was on News Channel 3, aired this. This has been in a few other documentaries. I think this was actually on the pilot for the UFO Hunter show. And look how it's walking in the sky there. You see that? This thing is clearly alive. All right? And this video is long, and I kind of broke it down. But what it does, it climbs for about 1,000 feet. Now, if you look, it's going west. It's going to the right of us. Okay? It's going west. Because I'm looking south, all right, and so it's going west. This is my window sill right in there. And what that thing does is it goes about 1,000 feet, and then it comes right over my apartment. Those of you who have seen the full video, check it out. That thing is right there, and I actually run out after it, okay? And I grab my camera, and I'm filming this thing right above my head. And it looks like a snake. It looks like a cross. I mean, it's morphing. It's shape-shifting, right? That's what they're talking about, right? So later on, and I went up higher to see the petroglyphs up here, up on the canyon. And look what we find here. You see that? This is what's on top of the canyon. We have two guys looking up at a flying serpent, a flying snake. You see that? This is what can be verified. The stuff we see on the mountains and the stuff that we see in the sky. This is high up on the canyon here. This is right in the same area where that serpent came out of. This rock art here. We have two men looking up, and they're in the appeasement pose. They're looking up into the sky, right? And they have this serpent up there. Now look, we're high up on South Mountain, down in here. There's Phoenix right there. And the canyon is right on the other side of this hill, I believe. Right down in there. And then right down in there, there's some other petroglyphs there. All right, and this is like this whole area is where the Native Americans used to do their ceremonies because there's rock art there. All right, and this is in my book. And then right up here, in the exact same spot where this serpent came out, we have these petroglyphs of someone looking at the exact same thing that I filmed in 2005. So these people who first lived here in Phoenix, they were the first sky watchers. They were the first ones to record this. There's an X. X marks the spot, right? There's something buried over here, right? Right? Because they're documenting it, right? Because they've already shown us what to look for, right? These petroglyphs are just not random stuff. They're telling a story. They're telling us what they saw. All right. And why is it high up on the cliff? Well, not only is it, now we're going down. Okay. So now the video is starting over. But it's high on the cliff because why? They're telling you, look, I don't have a photograph. I don't have a video camera to show you what I saw. So I'm going to carve it high. I want you to look high in the sky to understand what I'm talking about. Because when you look at the rock art, you have to look at the whole landscape, not just the art, but the landscape itself. So here, they're telling us, and it's carved high up on the canyon. It's the tallest rock art on top of that canyon there. That whole canyon going down South Mountain. And here we find two guys looking up at a flying serpent, and it's high, so we have to look up to see it, right? Because that's what the artist is telling us. So this was seen before. This serpent here was seen before, and the evidence is carved on the mountains of Phoenix, Arizona. This is South Mountain, right? I filmed this in 2005. And this carving was probably carved anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 years ago. This is how we can verify stuff. Not hearsay, not a book with a bunch of words with no photographs, right? Nothing that they can prove, right? But this is what is going on here. Okay, what else do we got? What's this? Okay, so my friend Doug, he sent this to me, and I can't remember where this is at. Okay, does it say right there? Brazil? Yeah, this was filmed in Brazil, so it's not very good video, but, okay, How many times have I said this, right? You have to film the objects going away. I mean, the video's not that good. Let's go ahead and play it. Of these lights, right? But they show how they go away, how these lights go away, right? How they leave the sky. I mean, I'm telling you, this is not a very good video, but they did the best they can, and I applaud them for it, because not everyone's going to be professional. I mean, everything happens, it happens fast. So you got to be ready. You got to get that camera out and you got to start rolling, and that's what they did. So, that's just perfect. It's awesome. At least they got this, right? They got something. And look how it goes away. You see how that light just disappeared that way? See the light over there? Just see that? How they slowly go away. That is what we're looking for to verify if something is real or not, right? You have to film them leaving the sky. Look at these big brown, orange, amber lights, right? And just because they're in a pyramid doesn't make it a TR-3B, okay? It doesn't mean that it's a spaceship, right? Each light is a living creature, is a living being, is a living entity, right? These are not spaceships here, folks. These are not crafts. I know we understand technology, we understand crafts because that's what we were made to believe all these years. That's what all these people are telling us, who haven't done their fact checks, who hasn't done their studies, right? Who hasn't verified what's really here. So they're going to say spaceships and technology and crafts. I'm into crafts. I like crafts, okay? I have seen some things that could resemble a spaceship. I've seen 2 things in the sky that could resemble a spaceship. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think the majority of what the people are seeing are living creatures, living beings. Okay? These lights are not spaceships. They're alive. All right? They make no noise. They make no shadows. All right? They're higher than man, so to speak. Okay? If you want to say this, they're supernatural. All right? It's just like what some of these old scrolls are telling us. When we go back and we read these scrolls, they tell us what these things are, man. They tell us how they got here. When we read like the Anunnakis and some of these old carvings on stones, they're telling us what these things are. And in studying all this, it's man saying technology. It's man saying spaceships because they just don't understand this. Or if they do, they're not going to tell you. They're going to mislead you into thinking spaceships. I think this is the next cover up here. All right. So, all these, last year and the year before that, they're coming out with these partial disclosures because all these, Navy pilots are seeing UFOs, blah, blah. And so, yeah, they need to say something because everyone's seeing them now. Right. So they need to come out and say something. So, first it was balloons, then it was flares. Now the cover-up is, so it doesn't get everybody in a panic, that, well, they could be another technology from another world. They could be spaceships. They could be crafts. That is the next cover-up, okay? But they know, as much as you and I know, that these are not spaceships. These are not crafts. These are living beings. These are living entities. Right? And that's the biggest cover-up here in the world, is that these things are here. They've always been here. And check it out. This is their home too. This is their planet also. They've always been here. They're not from Alpha Centauri. They're not from Mars. Not from Jupiter or Uranus. They're here on planet Earth. This is their home also. Right. And it's unfortunate. I mean, you are hearing this first from, you're hearing this live, you are hearing this evidence first before all these other skywatchers and cable shows admit this. They're not going to admit this or catch on to this for at least another 10 to 15 years, right? This evidence, my discoveries, is well above, way it advanced. Okay, this is not your normal investigations here. This has surpassed a lot of information here. All right, this is the truth. This is what we can verify. All right, and a lot of these cable shows, a lot of these other skywatchers, they haven't caught up to this yet. But you're here with us now and understand all this. And you're the first one to realize this, right? And that's awesome. Because once this information finally does come to the public, then you're going to come back and say, yeah, I know that. Jeff Woolwine said that 20 years ago. This is what we're dealing with, folks. Okay, let's get on. Uh-oh, what did I just delete? I just deleted my background. Okay, so we won't have a background for the rest of the show. That's okay. We'll just look at a black screen. All right, so let's look at this on South Mountain. Let me look at my comments real quick. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Karen. Garbage Pixels. Yep. Hey, what's up there? Vengito Karma. How's it going, brother? Good to see you here, man. And so yeah, okay. So this is South Mountain, and this is the area. This is on like 41st Street and Baseline. Okay. And what we're going to concentrate here is this canyon here, this area. Here's a canal. All right, those of you who have been watching my videos the last, all these years. All right, so we're going to talk about this area here, right in here, because this is the area that I was watching. And it's interesting that we have houses here, right? So we got petroglyphs here. We're going to talk about. We got petroglyphs down in here, and we have petroglyphs over here, okay? And we have some petroglyphs here, and we have right in here. We have what used to be a tomb. There was some mummies there. I'm going to show you this here in a minute. Let's put this over here. Okay. So this petroglyph here. This one is located look at the valley here. Here's the houses, okay? Remember the houses. Those of you who want to, check this out for yourselves. I'm showing you where this sacred area is. All right, so this is 41st Street and Baseline. Kind of tricky getting in there. You have to go through some residential areas, but eventually you will end up here. And so remember these houses over here on the east side. Okay, remember these houses. So this petroglyph here is right here. Okay, these glyphs here. So if you want to come out and check it out for yourself, this is what you're looking for. Now look. So we're looking west. I'm sorry, east. We have this cross here. We have some symbols here. And look. This right here, these symbols here, a lot of those symbols, these like little zigzag symbols, is representing like energy. All right, that's the only thing that I can explain to you is this is a power symbol. This is energy, right? And look, we have these little beings here. Now, the archaeologists likes to call these anthropomorphs, all right? Shapeshifters, right? And that's what they're calling this. They're calling this an anthropomorph. But when we look at it, doesn't it look like what some people call a tic-tac UFO? Doesn't that look like a square body, right? And look at the lines here, right? But the legs, the feet are kind of different. It's really hard to tell. There's a better photograph in my book. But yeah, and he's facing this way. And that's another reason, another way of understanding the rock art is the direction they're facing. So they are facing towards the canyon. All right, this is a major sacred area here on 41st Street and Baseline. This is a major sacred area on South Mountain. And look over here. We have this type of barbell bow tie UFO. See that here? And we have a guy right there, and he's talking to him. And look. Is he actually holding on to this barbell? It looks like he is. It looks like he's grabbing this barbell, this UFO, right? So is the artist trying to tell us that this barbell, this UFO entity came down and was picking this guy up and he was hanging on to it? Could be, because there's a lot of petroglyphs out there that are showing this, that are showing these barbells, showing these flying serpents, showing these phoenix lights coming down with this line and carrying people up, carrying animals too. A lot of petroglyphs are talking about this. And we have the anthropomorph, this UFO, this Tic Tac UFO, because they can't really say UFO or they can't really say UAP, because when they were doing all this, they really didn't understand the rock art. They didn't understand. Well, it's a shapeshifter. It's changing shape. It's in the sky. It's just a spirit being. It's an anthropomorph. That's the only way that we can explain it. But now, since we've seen them in the sky, we can actually connect the rock art to these UFOs in the sky now in Phoenix, Arizona. So now we get a better understanding on what the rock art is talking about. And yeah, so he's facing that way. He's facing towards the canyon, right? He's telling us that there is more stuff in the canyons, in that canyon. He's telling us, it's right here. He's telling us, look, this canyon, this whole area here. Okay? Let's look at the next photograph. Let's look at this one. Okay, so this one, this glyph here, this is on the other side. This is over here now. This glyph is on this side. It's right in here, right? And so we have petroglyphs here on this side of the canyon, right? At the beginning of the canyon. Then we have petroglyphs here as we're entering this huge, it's a pretty big area. It's a huge place. And we have this glyph here. Now look at this. This is crazy. Look at that. So let's look at this here. We have this anthropomorph, right? And is it a tubular object like people are seeing in the skies today? They call them cigars, they call them cigarettes. I think so. And how do we know that this is not a regular animal? Well, it's only obvious. Look at the feet. See how the feet are backwards? See that? That's a dead giveaway. Right? So the artist is telling us, look, it looks like, it's acting like an animal, but it's not an animal. Right? It's alive, okay? And they want you to understand that this being, this spirit being is alive, okay? And how can they tell us? Is because of the feet. The feet are going backwards. Then we have some coyotes, some dogs, and they look normal, right? And they're checking out this thing. And look. See that there? There's so many times where these cylindrical objects, all right, and people call them a mothership, people call them a spaceship, because they're cylindrical, right? They look like a cigar. I've seen it in the skies of Phoenix. Right? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to videotape it, but I've seen exactly what this thing is talking about. And it's got this line in front, right? But look, let's examine this more. You see this here? See that? That's a guy, right? And then look at this. This is an orb, okay? When we really look at this, this is an orb that we see in the skies today. This is a UFO orb. And he's got this line coming down, and he's got this line here. It may look like a head and a body and legs and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or a duck, maybe. Kind of looks like a duck. But this is what they saw in the sky. They're telling us. They don't have video cameras. They don't have photographs. They're carving what they saw in the sky, all right? What they witnessed in the places where the occurrence took place at. So they saw it here in this canyon. So they're going to tell you, look, I saw this orb and these lines came out and this other cylindrical looking creature was picking this man up, taking him up into the sky. And look, we have above them snakes, flying serpents. Look. And what? We're looking up. We're looking in the sky, right? You see that? See how I took that photograph? Because I wanted to include the sky. Because that's what the art is telling us. That these serpents were seen in the sky. Not only that, but this being here. This long cylindrical looking being with this other orb. And it's picking this man up, right? And look. What is this thing here? Look at its legs, right? They're going in opposite directions still. So it's an anthropomorph. It's not a real animal. It's a spirit being. It's a UFO. It's a UAP. Okay, and he's on the back of this huge cylindrical looking tube cigar looking object. Okay, and then look, we have these other dog-like creatures, right? And it could be the artist probably is telling us, it could be telling us that he's feeding this man to these dogs. This is the reason why I'm telling you they will never tell you what's really here, because what's really here and really their past, when you understand the rock art, it's a scary thing. Okay, they don't want you to know what happened to the Hohokam Indians. They tell you that they simply migrated because of drought. Where'd they go? There's no evidence on where they went. We're looking at proof facts. That's what we're going at on this show. Petroglyphs in the Sky is crossing its T's, dotting its I's, asking questions. Where did they go? We can't verify where they went because we can't find them. But what can we verify on the rocks? What can we verify through oral traditions of the indigenous people who first lived here? What do they say about the Phoenix Lights? What do they say what happened to their people? Why don't they want to talk about this? Because this is scary stuff, all right? There's a lot of those shamans that I've talked to that sometimes they don't want to talk to me about this, and then they'll talk to me off camera, but they're very hesitant. But once they understand that I know what is going on and I've seen it, it's a whole new ballgame now, all right? They know that I have seen the spirits. I have witnessed the spirits. I have interacted with these things that are coming and going from South Mountain, all right? So they open up to me, okay? And it's unfortunate that I can't get them on camera, you know? But this is what's going on. This is in my book. Check it out. And this one, like I said before, this petroglyph can be found on the west side of the canyon. So we have the canal, we have this road, and this is how you get into this place. It's from this side here, coming from the east. Don't forget the houses there. We have glyphs here, and we have that glyph there, right? Okay. Let's look at the other one. Let's look at this one. Okay, this one is carved on the same side, on the east side also over here. There's a lot of glyphs over here on these pile of rocks. And these rocks aren't normal. I mean, they're not natural. They were placed there. Okay? The boulders that are here, it's not natural. They were stacked there for a reason. Okay? And it's probably to, mark the entrance to this holy site. Now look at this. Look. So we have over here, we have the squiggly lines, okay, representing energy. It's a power symbol, okay? And now we have the barbells, right? And look, we have some people call it a tic-tac. There's a tic-tac there. And look at the line, right? There's another tic-tac, if you want to call it that. And then the line comes back down, and there's another tic-tac there, right? So we have these three barbell UFO entities here. And we have a normal one here, right? And we have a normal coyote, okay? And he's checking out this entity. He's checking out this spirit, right? And in Hieroglyphic Canyon on South Mountain, there's a petroglyph there. I show it in the pilot for the UFO Hunter show. I took Pat Uskert up there, and it's actually showing a man inside of a barbell. He's inside of a barbell. Does it mean that this barbell is a craft? No. It is talking about this spirit being absorbing this man and taking him up into the sky. Is this technology? Is this a spaceship? No. These are living creatures. Now we have this man over here. Okay. Now this is interesting too. This is very interesting. This guy here, because normally the man's hands would be raised in the air, okay? But this one is pointing down, all right? This symbol means death. So somewhere in this canyon, and I'm going to show you where. Somewhere in this canyon, right in here to be exact, and I'm going to show you the photographs, is where this man is buried at. Okay? And there's actually another glyph out there too where the man is actually laying down and his arms are down. Okay? And this symbolizes death. If he was alive, his arms would be up in the sky or would be outward. But he is pointing down. This is a symbol for death. So in this canyon, because this rock art here, oops, this rock art here is facing, well, it's facing east. Okay, it's facing this way, and then the other petroglyphs they're facing that way, and then that one that we just showed you, it's facing this way, and there's nothing on that side over here. Right, so it's talking about this area here. This is the sacred canyon here. Right, and so this petroglyph is facing towards the houses. Right, and it's talking about right around in here, and we're going to show you that here coming up. We're going to show you what I'm talking about coming up. Okay. Okay, so this is crazy. This is really cool. This is located pretty much in the middle of this valley. This is located like right here. Okay, it's right around in here, right in this area of this valley. All right, is we find this pile of boulders. Now, this is a light and shadow marker. Okay, during the equinox and the solstice, the sun will come up and will cast shadows on this wall. Look at my book. All right, check out my book. I photographed, I documented this. It's really neat to see. And the way the shadow, hits these rocks. And these rocks are placed here. This is not normal. This is not natural. Right? I've studied archaeology. I've been an amateur archaeologist, 10 years before I became a ufologist. And this is what led me to South Mountain. Not only the UFOs, the Phoenix Lights brought me to the mountain, but all the extra data that was here for me to learn, for me to understand. And I learned that these rocks is not natural. It's not normal. These rocks were placed here. And all these rocks were chiseled, right? Cut. They were chiseled. How they did this, I don't know, to perfectly match the sun, the shadow of the sun, to cast a shadow. Come on, Arrow, work with me here. To cast a shadow on this stone here of a perfect Indian profile face. You got the forehead, you got the eye, you got the nose, you got the mouth, you got the chin. And then it's got petroglyphs, and they've got this guy on it's carved on the wall here. It's carved on this side here. And he's holding a staff. And when the sun comes around and it starts hitting that rock, hitting these rocks and casting the shadow, it makes this guy is stabbing the light with his staff. And then as time goes by, as the sun keeps coming this way, and the sun and shadow is hitting this rock, he eventually is floating in the light. He's now floating in the sunlight. It's spectacular. It's awesome. Not only that, but there's coyotes, there's dogs that are floating with him in the light. It's awesome. How did they do this? I mean, how these people weren't dumb, man. They knew what they were doing. Okay, and it's really incredible. And you know what? Because this is because these are sacred, they just didn't, all the debris, all the chiseled out extra stone. You know what they did? They put it on the back here. There's all this chiseled stone is in the back. They piled it all up and put it in the back. It's still there. Okay, they didn't throw it away because it's sacred. Okay, it's a sacred stone. It's a sacred area. It's a sacred monument. All right, and they're not going to throw away the debris because it's sacred. So they're going to keep it right there with this monument. And that's what they did. So on the back of this is a whole bunch of piled up debris from when they were cutting and chiseling and making this shadow effect. You got to see it. It is so cool. It's in my book. Check it out. So, and this is right here in the middle of this canyon. And here we can see more of the canyon here in the photograph. That's right up in here. That's these mountains here on Google Earth. It is incredible. Check out the photographs on that. You will be amazed on what's going on. And the archaeologist doesn't even talk about this, right? Does not talk about this. But you're hearing it right. You're hearing it right here, folks. Okay, I'm bringing this to you. And so, yeah. This is many, many years of research, hiking the mountain, going all over South Mountain, understanding the rock art, discovering the light and shadow markers, and coming out there during the equinox and going out there during the solstice and documenting and filming. Each one that I found, I documented it, right? Crazy stuff. Okay. All right. So this hill here, this is scary, right? This one here is located like right in here, I believe. It's this one here, right? It's this hill here. Right here is where we're talking about. Okay, right there, right? So this is where we're at on the map here. We're talking about, we're talking about this rock art here. Now look at this. I call this the stage because this is huge, right? This is huge. This boulder is just huge, okay? And I call it the stage because it kind of looks like a stage, right? And up on top, it's really hard to get up there. I had to go clear to get up on there. To get up on top of that, I had to climb all the way up and up this way, okay? And this is quite a steep hill, all right? And to get up on this rock here, to see if there was anything up there, I climbed all the way up here, and I mean it doesn't look like much on Google Earth, but I tell you what, in person, it's quite a hike, okay? And it took a while to get up there, but I made it, and I found these rock art on top of what I like to call the stage. And I call this the stage. And look at the rock. Look at this mound of boulders here, right? Now look at the top, okay? So we see spirals, okay? Let's zoom in on this petroglyph. This rock art is located on top of this boulder, on top of this huge, huge mountain ridge, right? We have this fork. And those of you who've been watching my past shows knows about that fork, and I don't want to be around when I see that fork. That fork is scary, right? So, and we don't want to deal with that fork at all, okay? That is a symbol that everybody should stay away from. You see that? You got to get out of there. Dude, don't be around. And so we have the spirals, okay? And so the spirals are symbols for doorways. Okay, so when a spiral is going clockwise, it's a doorway in. A spiral going counterclockwise is a doorway out. A spiral ending down is probably the crack in the boulder of the stone where that spiral is carved at. It usually will end at that crack. Or if it's going down, it doesn't end in a crack. It's probably the ground there. If the spiral ends up, there's a vortex. There's a vortex in the sky. The spirals represent like a tunnel. You're looking down into a tunnel, into another dimension, into another world, if you will, into another area. It's a spiral vortex. Okay, are they coming in from another dimension? Possibly. No one has proved that yet, but that's what the theory is. They're coming in from another dimension. That's why those lights that we just saw, those people filming those lights, how they just simply vanished, they disappeared. There's a vortex in the sky right there. They went through that doorway. This is how we can tell if it's a real UFO video or not. And once all these hoaxers start learning this, they're going to start making them, starting to disappear that way. And so we need to be wise on that. All right, so watch, that's going to be the next hoax. So be careful of that. But look, we have the spiral here. And it's ending down, right? And it's carved on top of this hill. Now, because there's no like crack up there, I didn't find any crack for the doorway. I'm thinking that it's this massive crack here, right? That spiral is talking about this massive crack. Look, see this huge crack? And this is hard stone, all right? This is really hard stone. So I don't think they were able to carve anything on that stone. That stone is just like it's concrete. You can't carve anything on this rock. Look at it. It's a mess. It's ugly. Look at that. It's a mess. It would be hard to carve on that. All right. So instead of carving on the stone, they stacked boulders on top up here, and you can actually see this. They put them up on top, and that's where that's where they carved it. These are not spirals here. You've got a spiral here and a spiral here. It's hard to tell. There's more detail in my book. These are not spirals. How can we tell these are not spirals? Because they're not linked together. Look, let's examine these. Let's look at this further here. This we know is linked together. The spiral is all connected together, right? This is not. This is not a spiral. This is not connected together. This is like a circle within a circle within a circle within a circle. So look at it as like water, right? When you throw stone into a pond of water, right? What happens? It ripples, right? So those of you who have seen the Phoenix lights or seen videos of these lights or seen them in person, sometimes they have a dot in the middle, right? They have this dot in the middle. And the energy that it's absorbing, the energy that it's generating, that it's absorbing also is pulsating, right? It's like a ripple effect, all right? The lights are flickering. They're pulsating, right? They're boop, 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 boop. Just like when we throw a rock into the water, it ripples. That's exactly what they're talking about here, right? So it's a ripple effect. So in fact, what they're talking about, what they're saying is there's possibly lights right here, and it's pulsating. It's rippling in the sky, right? This is how we understand the rock art. And remember, stay away from those forks. Check out my past shows. I talk about those forks. They're not very pretty. Very scary things. All right, so here is that tomb that I was talking about. So, and this is located right in the middle. So remember that guy over here that was carved, right? Like right over here? And we were talking about how he was dead, right? And it's facing this way. He's facing this way. Right, and that's how we understand the rock art is the rock art's facing that way, so we got to go that way. That's where the next story is, or he's pointing in a direction on where the symbol is talking about, right? And so this man with his arms down representing death, he's pointing in that direction towards this huge valley canyon here, okay? And this is located right around in here somewhere. It's really hard to tell, but right here, right before you get to that light and shadow marker that I was talking about, it's like right in here. So this is right before the light and shadow. And here we can see the canyon in the background. See that? There's a big canyon there and a big hill right there. See that? Right? And then look at this. Now this, we can tell that these bricks has been all knocked down, right? They were stacked on top of each other. It was like a huge wall, right? And it was all knocked down. Probably from the first pilgrims, the first settlers that got here. They wanted to see what was in here, and when they did, they found a dead body, probably a couple dead bodies, because this was a tomb at one time. All right, this is what that guy with the arms down was representing. He was pointing at this spot. This is where he was buried at. What happened to his remains is unknown. But it's possible that a storm or maybe some catastrophe happened and the bricks got all knocked down, and then coyotes went in and took the remains out. But it's probably the first settlers, the first pioneers who got here and was exploring or hunting on South Mountain, came across this, and because at that time it was a huge wall, and it went all the way up the side, and it had a roof too. So this was all encased. So they knocked it down just to see what was in there. And there was probably gold and all kinds of stuff in there also. So, but yeah, that is right here in this valley, right? that is located right in here. Okay, this is cool here. So this glyph is also located right before. So we have the tomb over here, and then we have the light and shadow boulders here, and then right here in front of the light and shadow boulders, we have this carving. Oh no, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. This is carved inside of the canyon. My bad. I thought this was a different rock art. So this is carved right in here, in between these two canyons, right around in this area. So we had that big boulder with the spiral and the fork right here, and then now this rock art that we're going to talk about is located right in here. Now look at this rock art. There's that boulder that I was talking about. Okay, see this boulder? That's that one with the crack and the spiral and the fork. Okay. Now we'll talk about this arrow here in a minute, and then there's that petroglyph. It's carved right there. But look at this here. Whoop. We don't want to move me around. Don't get me dizzy there, Jeff. All right. So look at this glyph here. Okay. And so look at the spiral, right? The spiral is aligning right with that rock, right with that huge, ugly boulder, right? With these carvings. The spiral is ending right up there. Look, and the guy is alive, right? His hands are up. You know, look. See that? We're going to talk about this arrow here in a minute and what that arrow is about. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But see that spiral? My point is on this photograph, it's ending right up here. All right, it's telling us that this is a doorway. It's oriented towards that boulder. It's oriented towards that stage. It's oriented towards where those spirals are. So let's put this aside for just a minute because we want to talk about that arrow up there. And let's see if I can find the rod, the petroglyph. Okay, so this is the light. This is another light and shadow effect. Okay, and here's that arrow. Okay, here's that arrow that I am referring to in this photograph here. Okay, we see the exact same arrow here. So this arrow and that arrow there. So let's talk about this petroglyph real quick so we don't get confused. So this is located right. Wow, how did that happen? Let's move this thing around. How do we do that? New technology, new stuff to figure out. Well, I don't know how to move my arrow. Now it doesn't want to go back. Okay. Here we go. There we go. If you notice, I'm using a new system, so everything is all clear and a lot better. So hopefully it's looking a lot better for you guys also. All right, so this petroglyph here we're about to talk about is located so remember the rock art here. There's the houses, and then right up along in here, okay? Right up in here, right after we pass this rock art here on this side, we're going to walk this way, and we're going to find this rock art here, okay? So in my book, I explain, and I show this, and those of you who follow me on Facebook, I just recently posted a video of the light and shadow effect. Let's start from, let's go from right to left here. So over here, this doesn't look like much, right? Boy. Right in here, this doesn't look like much, right? To the naked eye, I mean, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. It doesn't look like anything. Let's blow it up. See, it doesn't really look like anything. But when you look closely, when you examine this side of the rock, you can see these chisel marks, these very old chisel marks, right? And then we see this chisel mark up here, okay? So in the book and in the video on my Facebook page, when the equinox occurs, it casts a shadow. And then this actually turns into a profile face of a leader, of a man wearing a headdress. I don't want to say a chief because that's really not the correct interpretation on the indigenous people's leaders. You don't call them chiefs. That's a man-made name, so you don't want to call them a chief. They're called leaders, and so that he's wearing a headdress, right? And this is a hairdress, right? And then later on, you can see his nose and his lips and his mouth. I mean, it's perfect, right? And then as the sun goes along, it starts to cast a light here. And so this man here, this petroglyph, this guy, eventually, look at the book, look at the video, is piercing the light. During the equinox and solstice, the light will hit this guy right here. And so he's stabbing the sunlight with his staff. It's awesome. It's great. You got to see it. This takes about an hour to happen. Right? Now, as the sun moves along, right? As time goes by, the light then starts to ascend up. And now, by now, the light is over here, and the guy's actually in the light. So we have the Indian profile face. We have the feathers, the headdress. The Indian looking at the guy. The guy is now floating in the light. Right? Now look at these cut marks here. Look at this here. You see these? This is not natural. These are cut stones. And these are actually talking about the canyons here. It's talking about these canyons up here. It's representing these canyons here. Crack, crack, and a crack here, right? There's a crack there, there's a crack there, there's a crack there, right? And now look at this. So it's talking about there's a crack there, and a crack there, and a crack there. So this is the canyons. It's telling us that these are the canyons back here. Now, as the light moves along, it's really crazy. It's really weird. The shadow, really starts to make a hill. I don't know how it does it, but it makes a hill. I don't know how, but the shadow actually starts to make a hill. It goes a hill like this, and then it goes down, and there's another hill, and then this is the sun. The sun is now in the hill, is in the canyon, is right over the canyon. And the hill, the guy's floating, comes down, it makes a hill. And now, as time goes by, this arrow is piercing the hill. It's pointing right at this hill. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to explain in this photograph here. It's pointing at this hill here. This hill, this arrow is actually talking about this hill right here. Right? It's a code. It's a map. To bury treasure? Could be. It very well could be. Okay? This is something, right? This is telling us that there's something here, right? It's buried. It's buried here. I believe there's treasure. I mean, I've already shown you the tombs in past shows. Check out my book. You know, I talk about the tombs. I show photographs of the evidence of the tombs. Now we have this here, and it's a code. It's a light and shadow code of something in this valley. In this valley here. We're decoding. Whoops, don't move me. Don't get me all dizzy again. It's telling us that there's something here. The light and shadow here. Yeah? I think so. I really do believe that. You know? And this is the reason why they made South Mountain a government park. Because you can't go on there and start digging stuff up. Because if you do, you're going to totally rewrite history, and that's what we're doing here today, folks. We're telling you the true history of Phoenix. We're telling you the true history of the indigenous people known as the Hohokam people. You know, not what the archaeologist wants us to believe, but what the facts. is showing us, right? What the real archaeology evidence is pointing at, okay? What the petroglyphs are talking about. The petroglyphs are telling us, look, you can't get any clearer than this. It's pointing an arrow. It's pointing an arrow right there. and during the equinox, it makes this hill. It makes a hill. The shadow is a hill. Look at the photographs on my book. And then the hill comes around and the sun is there. Oh my goodness, dude. Come on now. Yeah. This is a secret. This is a secret that has been hidden for I don't know how long, right? For 1,000 years at least. Yes, there is something here. Pretty cool. Well, my arrow is now tilted. Let's see, what's this over here? We got one more photograph, I believe. Okay, yeah, so this is the one that I was thinking about. That was this petroglyph here. Let's see if I can turn my arrow. I gotta learn how to work this. Okay, I can't turn the arrow. So this petroglyph here is like, so we have, let's get our bearings here again. So we have these petroglyphs here. We have that one over there, and then we have the light and shadow here. We have a light and shadow here. We have the tomb that was knocked down with the pile of bricks here. We have the other petroglyphs here talking about this hill here. Then we have the light and shadow here. But right in front of this, like kind of in the middle of this valley, we find this petroglyph. Okay, so this canyon here, look at the canyon, right? So that picture is actually showing this canyon, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's this canyon here. It might be this one, but I'm pretty sure it's talking about this canyon here. Let me look. Yeah, because over here is where that stage is. So this canyon here is talking about right here. This one here. This canyon here. All right? This area right in here. Okay? And what do we do? What do we find? We find these petroglyphs of these deers, right? And look at the footprints. Let's examine the footprints. You see the footprints? Look. See that? And then you see this, right? See that? And it's making the canyon. Okay? The footprints is talking about these canyons. The canyon here, the footprints here is this footprint here. And this footprint, look how sharp it is talking about this side over here, this canyon here. It comes down and then it goes sharp down, just like what these petroglyphs are showing here of the deer tracks, right? In the middle, so it's talking about this canyon. Now, look at the deers. Before we go any further, look at the deers, look at the feet. So we know this is a regular deer, right? Because look at the feet. The feet are going in the same direction, right? And they're facing that way, okay? And they're facing where they're facing. They're facing towards that big, oh boy, here we go again. They're facing that big boulder or that big hill with the fork and the spiral and the stage. I call it the stage. It's facing the stage, okay? They're oriented towards the stage. And look at the feet. Remember when we were talking about the feet? See? And we can tell that this is a regular deer, right? And we got some men there, right? Okay? And we know it's a normal deer because of the feet. Now let's look at the other deer. And then And see, look, and then he's talking about another canyon. He's talking about this canyon here with his feet and with his footprints. He's talking about this one over here. Oh, come on, Arrow. He's talking about this one over here. That's what his footprints are doing. Is they're talking about this canyon over here on this side. Right? And he's looking off towards this direction, to the west. He's looking off that way. But look at the feet. We're concentrating on the feet now. Same direction, same direction, same direction, same direction. So we know that's a regular deer. And then we have somebody shooting at the deer, right? Now, look at this here. Look what's in the middle of the canyon. In the air, above the canyon, right? The artist is telling us that the canyon, and this is in the air up here. Okay? So what we're going to talk about this next, the petroglyph is up in the air. It's up in the sky. This carving is oriented in the sky above the canyons. And look, let's look at its feet. It's really hard to tell in this distortion, but they're going in different directions. That one's going that way, and this one is going that way. It's a better photograph in my book. But he's floating. He's floating above the canyon, clearly. You see that? He is floating above the canyon that the deers are making with their footprints. He's talking about, the artist is talking about this canyon here. So when we look at the whole big picture here, when we look at the whole photograph, the artist is telling us that this one is facing towards the stage, right? And he's making the canyon here. This one is facing west, and he's making the canyon here with his footprints. And then in the middle, we have this anthropomorph. We have this spirit being, or a UFO, because they shapeshift. They like to take the shape of serpents. We've already seen that earlier in the show. They like to take the shape of orbs and dots. Now, I'll tell you what, these orbs and lights, this is just the beginning, okay? Pretty soon, in the near future, I mean, I've already seen this, but a lot of people haven't yet. So I'm going to tell you what I've seen and what I videotaped. And you can see it on my website. You can see it on my Facebook page. You can see it in my book. This is just the beginning. These things shapeshift. So you see that orb? That orb is going to morph. It's going to anthropomorph, as the archaeologist likes to say. It's going to change shape. It's going to look like a serpent. It's going to look like a stick figure man. It's going to look like an animal, or maybe even what could resemble a deer. Like the artist is telling here that he saw, that he witnessed over 1,000 years ago. This is a prehistoric photograph of what we like to say is a UFO sighting. I know it's kind of hard to comprehend because it's not a spaceship, right? It's not a craft, okay? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about what we can prove here. When we see something like this, it's above the canyon, and it's clearly, we just went over it, it's clearly in the sky. He is telling us that he saw this in the sky. He's also telling us that this canyon is sacred. He's telling us that this side over here facing the stage is sacred, is a place. And then this way, I never made it to this side of the mountain. If I did, I think I started to go over there, but some boar and some javelina and some babies scared me away from that area. Because this whole area is it's snake country, and it's javelina country, and it's coyote country. It is very, very dangerous in this area here. But I did it. I went as far as I could I've gotten chased down off the mountain by javelina and by coyotes. So yeah, they'll chase you, dude. And so and I've ran into snakes and scorpions, and yes, it's very dangerous. And they tell you to stay on the trails for a reason, not only to keep you away from the truth, but also this is, their home. Whenever you get off the trails and you start venturing out to places like this, you're in their territory now. All right. So whatever happens, it's your own damn fault, dude. So you need to watch it. You need to always be aware of where you're going, where you're stepping, because it's very dangerous. And so if you are going to explore, just be aware that you're in the javelina's home now. You're in the coyote's home now. You're in the snake's home now. They're not coming down to seeing you at home. All right, you're going to see them at home now. So be aware of what's going on. And so yeah, I started to go this way where that deer is facing, but there was a javelina nest over there, and there was a bunch of babies, and they chased me away. So that was about as far as I could go. So I gave up on that area. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Cool. Yes. Yeah, we've seen the light and shadow marker. Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure that you check out the Paracon coming up in May. And what's that? Oh yeah. Make sure you check out the Paracon coming up in May. And don't forget to check out my book, The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, the covered up history of Phoenix, Arizona. And we just covered, a lot in today's show. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye bye. See you guys later.